I smell something else, though, and it stinks. And you know what it is? It's the Democrats once again lying to the people to try to win an election. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rant Network. I am David Solomon. He is Stuart Brisgell. This is the Rant Network, and we dive into all these wonderful, unfiltered issues from the news to the pop culture to politics and more. When Stuart and I started this rant some 3 years ago, we started talking about a similar topic, and that is how politics can stink. Well, here we go again. What's old is new again. So we're going to dive into today's absurdity and we're going to keep it so real because this issue just doesn't want to go away. Buckle up, folks, because here we go. You know, when we started this rant network some years ago, one of the things we kept talking about is how the Democratic Party, led by Joe Biden, promised the nation in 2020 to unify the country. We're all about trying to bring to everybody back together because Donald Trump used divisive politics to destroy the country, calling people names, alluding to all kinds of stuff to separate the country, to create an us versus them mindset. Well, guess what? Joe Biden didn't keep his promise. Joe Biden decided that everybody who doesn't agree with him is a MAGA Republican and is a threat to democracy. And if you go back in this 3.5 years of being president, Stuart, you could see speech after speech and comment after comment, and you've got media spewing it and other members of the Democratic Party. Well, here we go again. We've got ourselves round number 2. Donald J. Trump more than likely going to win the Republican nomination. And Joe Biden, despite his age and every senior's residence having a place for him, wants to run again in November of 2024. They can't win, Stuart, unless they do what?
You know, all right, David, thank you for the awesome introduction. Let me start by saying the phrase rules for me, not for you, is oftenly used for political discourse. It highlights the perceived hypocrisy or the double standard. It suggests that one group or individual is not adhering to the same rules. For instance, there's been recent discussions about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden. We know there was a laptop. No, that was Russian collusion, according to a very credible FBI source. Wouldn't it be amazing to find out that the very same FBI source that was so legitimate, it derailed an entire election, right? With people being muted, websites censoring, including us, right?
No.
Censoring, right? The very fabric of what news is. But now the weaponized offices of the government, like the Department of Justice and or the FBI, have charged said individual, whose name is still, floating around, that he's a Russian he's an individual talking with Russians. That's what Russian spies do. But he's spying for the Americas. But that's what they just charged him with. So rules for me, hey, it suits my purpose in a political campaign to destroy any thought that my son is taking bribe money on my behalf, because how does a president of the United States that makes $187,000 a year has, $30 million of houses? I don't know, David. 1 + 1 = 2.
Apparently a few million.
not a few, several. But again, the only way to discredit him is to destroy the persons that are in front of him. So, again, Donald J. Trump has been eviscerated in New York on a claim that has never been done in the history of the United States with no party. But again, the accusation, the trial without a jury, a biased judge, a biased district attorney, but that's okay if you're a Democrat. The promise of freedom, the promise of civility, the promise of inclusiveness, with the exception of, you got to agree with me. You can't make noise about me, and you can't do anything negative against me. That is the pure description of what is transpiring in Russia, with the most recent kidnapping of a dual citizen ballerina because she donated $57 to the Ukrainian cause. Another pawn, another statement that if you come to Russia or you speak out against me, I will poison you, murder you, kidnap you, put you in goulash. I mean, let's talk about United States. They have literally just done the same to Donald J. Trump. The only way Biden can stay relevant is if he destroys Donald Trump. He has put into place the entire government to shut him down. And, Donald Trump said yesterday that if Nikki Haley was to get any traction, the government would do the same to destroy her. And I actually believe him. We are at a time where political bias is destruction in all ways, whether it's business, professional, personal. There's no middle ground. But again, what is Biden going to do? He doesn't remember anything. He has become very deteriorated over the last several years. He was never all there. Since 1988, where he plagiarized an entire speech, he has been on the wrong side of almost every decision that he's made in 40 years. But somehow, Biden has gotten every single political opponent neutralized. How is this? You hear of how Donald Trump hasn't spoken out about Vladimir Putin. But I don't see any press releases from Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, two of the most opinionated past presidents, but they're silent. But Donald Trump has been silent, and he must be on the take. I gotta ask you, David, why haven't we heard how upset President Obama is on the kidnapping of a dual national ballerina? Why hasn't Vladimir Putin been on his radar? Why isn't Jimmy Carter, one of the biggest critics in international politics, who rails on Israel on an ongoing daily basis for his entire life, has been silent about Vladimir Putin? Is the Democratic Party on the take by the Russians? I mean, I really don't quite know. When the Democrats call someone out, I believe it's really because they're the ones doing it. And, I think they're going to figure it's me, so I'm just going to blame him, which is something that happens in kindergarten, David.
Well, Stuart, I got to tell you, it's an incredible thing, what you just described. And I know there are listeners who are going, oh, here they go again. And I know one guy in particular go, here they go again with those conspiracy loonies. But folks, for 4 years, the Democratic Party tried to destroy Donald Trump with his Russia collusion business. It failed. It not only failed miserably, it at the time it was discredited. Had it not been for COVID, Stuart, I don't think Joe Biden is president because Joe Biden didn't campaign. He sat in his home in Delaware, and the Democrats got lucky. Now, for 2 straight elections, the Democrats have basically coronated their candidate. It was Hillary in 2016, Joe Biden in 2020. Even though Bernie Sanders had much of the momentum, they silenced him and said, step aside because this is our candidate. And I keep saying the threat to democracy is really not the Republicans, but who am I to criticize? But again, to bring up, Paul Braga, and I talked about this in a previous rant. Paul Braga was interviewed right after the whole bloody press conference where Joe Biden lost his mind yelling at everybody and insulting everybody because, his cognitive, he couldn't remember things, and all of a sudden he yelled. He was like chewing out press and media and whatever. And Stuart, the comment Paul Braga said is Joe Biden can't win an election. The only way he can win an election is if he goes after Donald Trump.
Oh, no, if he steals the election.
No, please don't use that word because I don't want to go there. It's not about stealing this election, Stuart. Okay, forget it. We're not going to go into stealing and cheating. This is about messaging. And over the course of the next 6-7 months, we are going to hear
the longest general election in history.
Yeah. So, you're going to hear again all about MAGA. You're going to hear all again.
David, what does MAGA mean? But what does MAGA mean?
Everyone listens to you. Make America great again. I get it.
Okay, so I just want to ask you a question. Would that be a group you would want to villainize?
So, the funny thing is that my wife asked me the same question. What is the job of the president of the United States? The job is to make America the best it can be. Joe Biden, look at what, let's talk about for a second. Forget Biden, forget this. Here's the funny thing, right? We're talking about what Biden has to use terms like MAGAs because it refers to these so-called extremists, these people who want to make America great again. I mean, this is hilarious. But you've tied in that acronym with, racists and haters and, the January 6th. But here's the crazy thing. Joe Biden can't run on anything that he did successfully.
Yes.
Bidenomics, that they were so thrilled. Remember when Karine Jean-Pierre stood up and says, Bidenomics, it's great. Now you can't use that term. The Build Back America program, whatever they call that acronym also, it was supposed to be these failed.
David, how about the White House demand about inclusionary language and the man delivering it said, I'm okay saying gentlemen and ladies.
Stuart, I get it, but I'm talking about, like Biden's policies that supposedly he was supposed to help America over the last 3.5 years failed. And on his foreign policies, he's flip-flopped. So, the thing is right now that everybody knows that Joe Biden isn't running the White House. Joe Biden is not running the United States. And so therefore, the only way for the Democrats to win an election is to go after the opponent. So it's not it's not vote for me because I'm right. Don't vote for the other guy because he's wrong. I mean, this is so. If you could tie it in with Russia, and because
that started in the Obama era.
No, Stuart,
blame Bush. This has been the DNC playbook.
No, Stuart, it's. I'm sorry.
Yes, David.
This goes back generations before Obama. This goes back way long the time.
Yeah, but not like this. Not on this level.
I know that because you have social media now, and now you could say whatever you want, and you don't have to be factual. That's the reality. And we're going to see this in this election. We see this with the war with Israel and Hamas. There is no fact. It's not fact anymore. We've talked, when you talk about the news, there are no facts. It's talking heads. Okay. And kids today, the 18 to 35-year-olds are watching Jon Stewart again because he's back. They're watching Bill Maher. They're watching all these guys to get their news. And they're all ranting about MAGA. Isn't that crazy? Stuart, last word to you.
TikTok, David. That's where the
TikTok.
news comes from.
Folks, I gotta
TikTok.
tell you, this Russia business ain't going away. And tying, I agree with you, by the way. Trying to tie Trump to Putin is hilarious. It's a great tactic. I'm surprised they didn't put a picture of Trump and Tucker Carlson side by side. I mean, that would be just great. Anyways, folks, that's it for today for the Rant Network. We hope we found something out of this. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We broadcast at noon Eastern, unedited, unfiltered, on everything. So you see one take and we go. So listen, folks, we're on social media, and podcasting channels, by the way, are changing their policies. So you need to subscribe. You need to click on a lot of these things. There's a lot of the notifications, Apple, Spotify, a lot of them are changing. So please, if you want to continue getting the Rant Network, please subscribe. Best places on our YouTube channel, on our website, on those podcast channels. Just click the subscribe button and you'll get our 3 times a week rant. And until Friday. Stuart, let's say goodbye.
Goodbye.